talk to you about boundaries. Such a touchy topic, something that a lot of us don't feel comfortable as women leaders using the boundaries because we want people to like us. We are infected with what I call the disease to please. We just want to be nice. Well, here's the deal. During crisis and chaos, it is so important as a leader that you establish proper boundaries. One, so that you can recharge, but two, so that you can have enough time to think clearly because you have a limited amount of time to make very quick decisions during this challenging time. So let me give you an example of a boundary. Starting a start time for work and an end time for work and doing nothing outside of those hours. So if you say you're going to start your work day at 6 a.m., don't start responding to messages at 5:30 a.m. And if you say you're going to end your day at 6:30 p.m., don't hop on a non-emergency conference call at 8:30 p.m. By starting to implement these boundaries, you give yourself a chance to recharge so that you can lead effectively. As we continue to move into our new normal of working fully work from home, it is important to recognize that you have to recharge. So let's think about when our cell phone batteries get low, when we get the 20% warning or the 10% warning, if we let it get that low, we immediately start looking for a charge. We're not going to let our smart devices go dead and let them stay dead for hours. But what I find that leaders are doing right now is that we're trying to be so turned on to support our teams that we're not taking the proper time to recharge. So I encourage you as we move into the weekend to take some time to be intentional about recharging and to use this weekend to think of ways that you can recharge throughout the week. It is totally okay for you to take some time for yourself, for self-care, so that you can show up, so that you can communicate to your team and you can steer them in the right direction as we all navigate our new normal and this crisis. Motivation, yes. We have been in survival mode. We've been thrust into responding to this global emergency that has impacted our lives in so many areas. And now that we are in it and we are moving through it, as a leader, go back to some of the basics. Understanding what motivates your team, because right now no one is working in a normal environment. So find new ways to inspire, to motivate, but remember to be inclusive because people have different needs during this time. They're going through different things in their home lives. So I heard an inspiring story from a leader who did a team check-in, and at the beginning of the video conference asked, hey, how is everyone doing? And a member of the team said that she couldn't find any toilet paper. And so they found a way to get this team member some toilet paper. Y'all, it's so simple. You may think, what? But it's little things like that. Getting someone toilet paper when they can't find it and can't order it, getting that delivered to them means more than any bonus or raise during this environment. So find new ways to motivate your people. And the only way you're going to do that is by having conversations, talking to them, and finding out what's going on and coming from that truly genuine place. Let's face it, we all know when someone says, hey, how's it going? But they don't really want a response. They're just doing it as a formality. Now, more than ever, pausing at the beginning of a meeting to say, how's it going? And truly listening, that's going to take you a lot further. That's going to help your organization get through this time with just a little bit more ease. Today's tip is about screen time. No, not the screen time for kids, the screen time for adults. You know, how much time we're spending on these things. Well, over the past week, I received my screen report and I realized that I quite frankly was ashamed at how my screen time went unchecked and how for the past 6 weeks, my screen time has been drastically increasing. Between conference calls and video conference calls, my phone has been a main staple now that I'm working from home, and the lines between work and home have been completely thrown out the window. So what I have begun to do to reinforce having a decreased screen time and to be in my new rhythm of working from home, I've decided that all meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between is going to be my cue to put down the phone, to push away from the laptop, and to actually get some time away from the screen. In addition to that, I have went back to some of my best practices of eliminating notifications from my devices. That way I am not triggered to pick it up every time I see an alert or a ding, because you go down a rabbit hole once you start responding to the alerts. So all of the alerts are off my phone, again, as a best practice to decrease the screen time so that I can stay in the rhythm of working at a highly productive level and contributing to the Zero Gap organization at a high level. And today's tip centers around speaking up. Now, you would think that, we're leaders. Everyone knows that we have a seat at the table and to speak up. But I want to encourage you that those thoughts that you have, the ideas, the challenges that you're looking at, and the solutions that you're thinking of have to be expressed now more than ever. This is not the time to second guess yourself. This isn't the time for you to say, should I say that? Or if it was important, someone else would have already presented that. No, leaders, listen to me clearly. I need you to step up, to speak clearly. Yes, we're not at a physical table these days. We're on a Zoom call or a WebEx, but let your voice be known. Express the thoughts that you have, because in this time where businesses are navigating such challenging times, all thoughts are needed. And it's that diversity of thought that's really going to help your organization survive this challenging time. So if you deal with imposter syndrome, I encourage you to check out the zerogap.co program on executive presence. It's a really popular program where we walk women leaders through how to overcome imposter syndrome and increase their presence to lead from their unapologetic, authentic voice. I'm really struggling with my team members whose productivity is tanking right in front of my eyes. I can visibly see that they're exhausted. What tips do you have? So first and foremost, it is so important that we share with our team members that we understand that this is a really challenging time, that we're all learning to navigate this quote unquote new normal. In addition to that, I recommend that you start each meeting asking people how they are. And it may seem like it's not getting the work done, but giving people the opportunity to express themselves, especially during this time, can be the only moment of relief they have. And that can definitely result in increased productivity, because now things aren't just kept inside, they're able to express their views. Secondly, check the pulse of your team members one by one. Some people may not feel comfortable on video. They may be introverts, and they may have increased anxiety by constant Zoom meetings. So allow your team some flexibility to have some meetings on video and some with the video off. So I hope this helps, these two basic tips of checking in with the team, having those one-on-ones, and being flexible with the video options to help you lead during this time of crisis and chaos. Making decisions swiftly and being able to adjust and be agile with those decisions. Now, we are hearing from leaders all over the country who are making decisions that are very challenging, and just 2 months ago, couldn't have been imagined. This scenario for a lot of people caught them off guard, these current circumstances. As you're making decisions as a leadership team, it is important to move swiftly, to communicate with as much transparency as you can, to lay out the plan. We didn't imagine ourselves being in this predicament, but if this continues on this trajectory, we'll end up here or there. Outline as much as you can to your team. It really keeps the rumors at bay in this environment where people are feeling stress and anxiety. As you're communicating with them, it gives them some type of comfort to know that they will at least hear from you, if nothing else. So as you continue to move with your team to communicate through this crisis, make decisions swiftly. Sometimes we're going to make the right decisions, and sometimes we're going to look back and we're going to say, I should have done this differently. But now isn't the time to be stuck in analysis paralysis. You cannot wait months or weeks to make decisions in this environment. So use the best information that you have available, lean on your full leadership team to gather as much data as you can, and move forward swiftly. Leading through chaos and not just managing the crisis. So here's the difference. Leaders who are successfully navigating this unprecedented global pandemic that is impacting every area of our lives, they are not reacting. They're not losing their cool and just throwing all of their hands in the air and freaking out. The leaders who are successfully navigating this difficult time, they are cool, calm, and collected, and they're communicating with clarity and confidence during this time. The way that they're able to do that is because they have built their resilience muscle. So in my upcoming book, Winning Season, the formula is risk, resilience, and you'll get the reward. That book helps you to break down step by step how to be a leader who reacts and who responds rather than reacts in a crisis. It's the importance of reinforcing your company values during this time. My name is Jacqueline Twillie. I'm president at zerogap.co. Now, during times of crisis and chaos, it is important that once you figure out what's going on, that you begin to communicate with great clarity your company values. During a time when things are going well, people tend to be on their best behavior. They think clearly in most cases, and they're making great decisions. In a time where stress is heightened, there's a lot of uncertainty, and there is rapid change. People are really dealing with multiple things, and some of the basic things need to be reinforced, which is why this is the perfect time when you're communicating with your team in weekly updates, whether that is a video call, whether it's a video chat, that you're using the values that your company stands on, that the foundation that which your company was built, that you're communicating that. So what this means is you also want to live out those values. When it comes to if you're going to have to furlough people or anything like that, if your company core value is honesty, communicate as much as you can that if we hit this point in our business, we're going to have to make some difficult decisions. That may look like a 2 or 3 week furlough. That's a short example of how you live out your values, you reinforce that, and you show your team, your company, that you're going to guide them through this and that you're standing on those values that you've always preached. This book that I just received is More Myself. This book is by Alicia Keys. It just came out last week, and I cannot wait to dig into the book. She did an interview with Oprah on Oprah's podcast last week, and they kind of talked about the book. I pre-ordered the book because I follow Alicia Keys. Let me give y'all this side story. My line sister will attest to this. In college, I had this 2-door red Saturn coupe. You couldn't tell me nothing. Sunroof, 2 doors. Y'all, the car, it was a piece of work, but it got me everywhere I needed to go. But in that car, one thing that I would do consistently was play the Diary of Alicia Keys CD from front to back. I was one person who would listen to the whole CD, and Cartisia, every time she rode with me, because I had a car, Cartisia didn't have a car at the time, because we're in college, and when she would need to go somewhere, she would dread getting in the car because she knew we were going to listen to Alicia Keys. So I follow Alicia Keys online. When she mentioned that she was releasing her book, I went ahead and I pre-ordered it, and it came in last week. But because I pre-ordered this before all of this happened, I had it sent to my office, so I had to go to the office to pick it up. I'm going to start reading it today, and I can't wait to dig in. When she did her interview, Alicia Keys, with Oprah Winfrey last week, one of the things that she talked about was the process of writing this book. And in the interview, I learned that Alicia Keys and Oprah are really good friends. They're like a sister-mother type of relationship, similar to the relationship that Oprah had with Maya Angelou. So I thought that was really interesting. And it talks about, I'm going to read the back of the book for y'all. It talks about gathering the raw pieces of my experience and holding them up to the light. What it has been for her is transformative and an exercise in truth telling. She spent so many years withholding parts of herself sacrificing her spirit to make others feel comfortable. Can anybody relate? Keeping your mouth shut, being uncomfortable so you can make somebody else feel comfortable. I can relate. She said she's done with dimming her light. Writing this book has been about meeting herself and with all the wounds and vulnerabilities, exactly as she is, and then at last having the courage to reveal her full face. So Alicia Keys has also been the face of not wearing makeup. I can relate because I don't wear a lot of makeup. I don't own foundation. I can't tell you the first thing about putting on foundation, but I do like some lipstick, and you can see I'm starting to learn eyeshadow. Anyway, back to the book. She talks about how her truth has set her free, and I'm really excited to read this book. Alicia Keys did a version of the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith a while ago, maybe a few months back, and that was a really powerful exercise in truth telling, as Alicia Keys shares, because she talked about how people think she's always happy and she isn't. And so she kind of walked through that on Jada Pinkett Smith's show, which made me even more excited to read this book. Not only do I love her as a musical artist, she's just sharing more of who she is. And I'm going to be talking about this book. Let's see here. I want to see how long it is. About 200 pages. Okay. I should be done with this book on Friday. It's Monday. So what I'll do is this weekend, I'll get back on live and I will give y'all my book review of More Myself by Alicia Keys. And this book is, I don't know if it's a memoir, it says it's a journey. Can't wait to dive in. So y'all comment below, let me know if you want to hear the book recap of More Myself by Alicia Keys, and if you want to get an alert when I do the book review of this, just go ahead and shoot me a email or DM, and I'll make sure that I give you the alert when I go live with this book review. Okay, it's Jacqueline Twillie talking about More Myself by Alicia Keys. Can't wait to review this book with y'all. And until next time, continue to emulate excellence and eliminate excuses. All about knowing what to stop. Now, we're in the midst of our series of leading through crisis and chaos. And one of the most important things to recall during this time is understanding what has to stop. It's not business as usual. In our previous video, we discussed how to move from surviving and move into a mode of thriving. So when you have an interruption in business practices and the norm is not norm, you're forming a new normal, you have to clearly articulate to the team and to those people that you work with directly what things have stopped. So most of us know we're all working virtually. None of us are going into an office right now. So we've stopped in-person meetings. In addition to that, there are other things that have stopped. Clearly communicate that to your team so that they understand the direction has changed. And you may have to reiterate this several times. Now, a lot of parents are homeschooling in addition to working. And so they're having to work a modified schedule. They're not able to work 8 or 10-hour days currently because life has been totally disrupted. So one of the things that you may want to encourage your team to do is to stop working the normal hours and to work a modified schedule where they're still able to produce at a high level. So productivity is important to thriving and moving out of survival mode. So I have so many people who are hitting me up talking about the economic circumstances, uncertainty with jobs, even in the corporate area, and I have other people who are thriving, doing interviews, getting promoted, raises, etc. So I just wanted to give y'all a few tips on job search and job strategy during this time. So if you're just watching this video, please share it with someone you know, specifically if they're in the job search market, because the tips that I'm going to give you today are just for people who are looking to make some moves in their career during this current time. So a lot of the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you come from my first best-selling book, Navigating the Career Jungle. You can get this book on Amazon. The ebook is only $4. And so I want you to check this out because this is where the tips are coming from. And as you can see, I have this book marked up. A couple of things that I want to share with you. First, I'm Jacqueline Twillie. For those of you who don't know, I am president at ZeroGap.co, best-selling author, and the host of the Power Banking podcast. So when it comes to my experience working in an environment, when the economy is changing, there are a couple of things that you have to be aware of. And the first thing is that you have to know what you want. This is not the time to say, I want a new job. I don't know what that job is. I'll take anything. You have to be specific about the job that you want. And in order for you to be specific about the job that you want, you have to be specific about the skills you have. What are you good at? You might have some skills that come so easy to you that you think anybody can do this, but that's not the case. People who have your skill set, they get paid a certain amount. And if you want to get paid the top dollar for the work that you're doing, you have to be able to articulate the job skills that you have. So pull out that resume, pull out the LinkedIn profile, and update that. Now, once you get clear on that part, the next thing that you want to do is don't start applying to jobs online. Here's a secret that I don't typically share because most people are resistant to doing that. It's easy to apply for jobs. People find some level of comfort in applying to jobs saying, oh, I applied for a job, but they know they're going to get rejection emails or no response at all. So here's what you do instead. Instead, you would create a list of 10 people who you know are well connected, and I give you details inside of this book, Navigating the Career Jungle, a guide for young professionals. Inside of the book, I walk you through this step by step, okay, of who you need to contact, the 10 people on your list, and what to say when you communicate with them. So you update your resume, update that LinkedIn profile, and start sending it out to people, telling them specifically what you want to do. So if you are looking for a job during this time where the economy is doing all of the things, you need to have a strategy. And so I'm giving you the free advice today. The book is $4. Check that out. If you need more specific guidance and assistance, head over to my website, JacquelineTwillie.com, or hop into the Power Banking Facebook group, set up a call with me, and I'll get you into one of my programs that's going to transition you to where you want to be. Now, during the last recession, I was in the traditional workforce, and I was just graduating college, and I left that recession with a very well-paying job. I came out of the recession with a very nice savings, and I set myself up for success. And you can do the same. Do not feel like this is a doom and gloom sentence because things are wacky. You can have a plan to come out of this with courage, with confidence, and clarity. So I received another comment, and it said that the person's looking for some tips to recharge. So I did a little research, and I've also mixed in some of the things that I'm doing to help myself recharge at the end of the day. So if you go back in the series, I talk about recharging and the importance of that. So here are some practical ways that you can recharge. Find things that you really enjoy doing, but you haven't had time to do in the past, or since the crisis has started, you just thought, this is frivolous, I can't do it. So I've done some research, and here are the things that I found online. People are really getting into puzzles. Others are starting home gardens, whether it's an indoor garden, just herbs or tea leaves, or something outdoors. I've seen stories of people learning how to play guitar. Yes, teaching themselves via YouTube. And personally, what I'm doing is I'm learning how to make kombucha. So I found a kit online, I ordered it, it's coming in the mail, and I can't tell you how excited I am that I've just been doing 20 minutes of research a day on kombucha. So these small things that you can do, whether it's watching a TV show or watching a series on PBS, I have to admit, I just binged No Passport Required on PBS with Marcus Samuelsson, and I absolutely love that food show. So those are some practical things that you can start doing to unwind and recharge. And I know it's going to be different because everyone has a different home life, but I encourage you to start brainstorming. Start a group text with some of your friends and find out, hey, what are you doing to recharge? And maybe you can find some ideas that way.